FlyQuest will lock in the Nautilus first.
Yeah, if they don't first pick that Nautilus, I was thinking it's definitely going to be snapped up there by CoreJJ. Honestly, though, Team Liquid's bottom lane, with how fearsome they've been, it really still draws so much attention to APA's champion pool. You mentioned the Ziggs ban. He does have other champions to go for. The Taliyah was permabanned versus them, versus Cloud9, and they're actually going to lock that one in. Pairings that you automatically think of with Taliyah for jungle is Vi for sure. That combo is tried and true. Yesterday, Umti picked the Vi, and they played the combo with the Ziggs, guaranteeing the Ziggs bomb ult. But if you play that with the Taliyah, it guarantees the seismic shove, and you have a really strong at level 6 mid jungle.
In the previous series, FlyQuest also placed a lot of priority on banning Vi and Volibear throughout most of those games. But this is one, in that last series, all 5 games, FlyQuest banned it away, because recall the regular season, it was against the double dragon comp of TL that FlyQuest lost. They did not want to play Smolder, they did not want to play against him, and now here in game number 1, the fastest stacking Smolder in the LCS is piloting it again.
Largely, though, we haven't been seeing that much success from Smolder in playoffs. We've had a really good game here, a really good game there, but throughout most of playoffs, it has actually been falling in priority. People have really not been putting the emphasis on it, and with TL's new style where they want to scrap at every turn, this doesn't really suit that. It's so weak in the early game.
And it's a calculated strategy here from FlyQuest. In game number 1, opening up, you're just going to give them possible scaling. Team Liquid, even when they had scaling champs, they were fighting very, very often. And FlyQuest, they're going to be the ones with the Vi. They're going to be the ones with the Nautilus. Okay. That forces gameplay. I really like this in a game 1 of a best of 5 from FlyQuest. They're the ones kind of taking a lot of the control here with their engaged champs.
Not just the 2 engaged champs, but the AD carry that loves to fly in right alongside them. This FlyQuest team is a torpedo so far.
It's only the second game here for Massu on this Kaisa as well, this split. You know, traditionally he's playing more Senna, Varus, longer range stuff. We're going to sit back. You need to be aggressive. You need to be going in with that. And we've heard people talk about it. You don't know how the rookies are going to perform in this finals with all that pressure.
All right, what we got to ban mid lane here then for Team Liquid. Try and ban out Jensen a little bit more. Protect this Taliyah for APA. The Orianna is always a no-brainer versus Jensen, but he's notoriously also one of the mid laners with a very shallow champion pool consisting of very similar style champions of these mages, long range, scaling. Hwei has been kind of his backup go-to as well, so Team Liquid are going to get their shot as well in really whittling down that champ pool.
All right, we've got the Hwei taken off the table. That is one of those picks that Jensen can pilot in that strategy that you're talking about, the traditional mage style that he's become so adept at playing. There's the Renekton ban, so they're not going to have that safe sort of blind pick top that so many laners want to default to.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because TL is on red side, right? But that's something that Impact will go towards. You know, he is one of the players that does get some criticism on red side for not being able to use that counter pick as effectively, because you kind of know what to expect from him, and generally he's going to go towards that style of champion, regardless if it's blind or if it's kind of
And if FlyQuest don't ban away the Ksante, then Impact will happily pick up a Ksante, because you're already looking at this Smolder. You just want stuff that can peel for him. Ksante definitely can do that as well, and it's so versatile for top lane. So I have to think, if you're going to ban the Renekton, might as well also ban the Ksante there for FlyQuest. That being said, 5th pick for Team Liquid. You were memeing on it in our opening dive live episode, but maybe Impact has got some spicy stuff stored up and they go for the Jack span instead.
Yeah, I mean, the only real kind of like actual counterpicks he's done has been the Ignite Rumble into the Renekton. That's been the only one that he's been kind of going towards, and he did have a really good game on it yesterday. The Udyr has kind of fallen by the wayside, but that's also something that he had a lot of success with. If you're talking about late game scaling, you know, just play for that front line, protect this Yeon. Wukong would give him a lot more die, but Volibear works better, I think, with the Taliyah, the guaranteed point-and-click stun, to be able to set up the seismic shove. It is pretty important to have something that can actually make that happen.
And pre-6, Volibear can destroy Vi. It's way more difficult for Vi to be able to hit the charged-up Q to be able to win a duel with Volibear than it is for Volibear to dodge it and to get in places where you can get stuns with your E coming down as well. So
mid probably,
we are going to get the lock in here for Jensen. We're going down kind of the list there for those long-range AP mages.
Urgot! Okay!
He
Bwipo.
You got nothing. You got nothing to actually answer this pick.
And
that was cooking up.
And that's why they leave the Ksante open, because Urgot ultimate, you can just delete the Ksante. I love it from Bwipo here, already throwing down and showing his creativity.
Well, and Urgot was really popular for a while early on with Hullbreaker because it can actually proc with the W. The Hullbreaker procs really, really quickly. It is very difficult to beat this champion in a 1v1. Has incredibly powerful level 1, but also scales really well into the game. Level 13 is when people really talk about hitting those benchmarks with the shotgun knees. And it is going to be the Ksante regardless. This is Bwipo throwing down the gauntlet. This is something that has happened to Impact throughout his career, where back in GP metas, people would blind pick GP into him, and he would still just go to the tank and kind of self-counterpick. So we have to see, can TL win with this? Because they've kind of self-counterpicked on top side. They've gone towards scaling on bot side, and their whole story throughout playoffs was they're going to fight you, they're going to scrap you. I don't know if they can do it with this comp.
I actually love the prep here from FlyQuest coming in and just saying, we know exactly what you will play, Team Liquid. If we leave up the scaling, you're going to pick up the Smolder. If we leave up the Ksante, we know Impact, you are going to pick it up, even with the pre-thrown down Urgot here for Bwipo. Now it's about, can you outplay anyway? Team Liquid versus Cloud9 looks so focused on their game plan. They never wavered. I think a lot will hinge on Umti's early Volibear game and possibilities of pressure they can put on mid. If you have flash with Volibear, you can guarantee combos with the Taliyah play. And then if you get that lead, you get to start roaming around to the side lanes, namely bottom lane, especially trying to protect Smolder against dives is always your objective number 1. So we'll see about the early clear from him if he does try and protect.
All right, I already cannot wait to see how this plays out. The Urgot immediately challenging. It's one of those questions that always comes up around pro play. Why don't you see the solo queue answers to these matchups? Why don't you see these staples being challenged by what is supposed to be the natural counter in the executions? And Bwipo says, you know what? Why not? I cannot wait to see how this lane plays.
If there's a time to bring it out, to bring out what you've been cooking, it is the grand finals here. Last person to actually play Urgot before this was actually Bwipo himself in the LCS back in 2022. Before that, the last person to play it was Alfari in 2021. So only person to play it in the last 3 years is Bwipo.
So talking a little bit about Urgot here, just since it's a champion that a lot of people don't see as much, I like the fact that you already touched on it a bit, Isaac, with level 13. Not normally a break point for the vast majority of champions in League of Legends, but it's the level where Urgot's shotgun knees hit their lowest cooldown, and he truly can become a menace that'll just evaporate your entire health bar very quickly. Level 9 also critically important because that's when you can get your level 5 purge, where it becomes a toggle instead of a duration.
And the only other one I see is from Cabochard, was that one a while ago where he played it into Malphite and they lost. So it's up to Bwipo. Get the dub on the board here for Urgot as far as the spring games do go.
I also really want to see how the level 1 goes because it actually has an insanely strong level 1. People almost always start E and they will just walk at you through the minions. If you do not back off, if you get hit by the E, the shield is there. Plus you're getting all these passive procs with that shotgun knee. So it can be very, very strong. And we'll see if he's going to go for it. He is starting E. And it's going to be walking Impact. Like, this is what you have to deal with. The early game is so difficult to actually fight against with this Urgot, and he's playing Fleet also. And it's going to make it even harder.
When you're playing a top lane pick like this, you really have to focus on jungle. They did a leash down here for Vi from the bottom lane. Busio and Massu spent their time early on to get him accelerated in his clear that's going to end up on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, they also warded both entrances from the jungle. So they're protecting against a possible Volibear 3 camp here. And I just think everything is targeted, these arrows all pointing up towards this top side matchup. It looks like he's going to go for the early recall from top side for Umti instead. That means that Vi is going to end up there.
Okay, bottom side's a little bit of a scrap early on, but nothing too crazy. Yeon making sure he hits those snot bubbles with Smolder to just keep the stacks generating early on. Remember, poking the champions, especially before you have the 25 stacks for the AoE, really critical in getting that early acceleration going.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, throughout lane, the entire kind of rinse and repeat is just W on cooldown, try to hit the enemy champions, use the Q generally to stack unless someone walks up for a Targon so you can get a free Q on them. But it is going to be the quick base for volley, as you touched on, Kobe. We've been seeing this more and more for champions with the early longsword buy. In this case, he actually gets a glowing moat and a pink ward, which is not exactly the scariest of
Let me tell you, glowing moats suck. They are one of the least efficient component items in the whole game. They are actually quite terrible.
It's barely an item.
Yeah,
that thing is nothing.
It's glowing at least. Honestly, though, it is the 5 ability haste. Even though ability haste is very good for Volibear because of the repeat W's.
He actually went for the E there, but Impact flips him back into the tower as he's Eing forward. That was nicely done. So forcing out that flash early from Bwipo, that is a big deal because a lot of times when you're looking for those all-ins post-6, it is playing around your E flash on Urgot to be able to actually guarantee that, set that up. Impact's out of mana though, and both these junglers could be hovering around top side. Oh, he actually went too early. Umti did actually juke out on the initial vision plant, but then stepped forward before it had expired, so he was spotted ever so briefly.
A little bit of trading back and forth here between APA and Jensen. Both of these guys ready to try to play as aggro as they need to be. Yeon moving up here as he finds Inspired with an attempt at the Scuttle Crab, but because APA and Yeon and Core are faster to the spot, it means that Inspired has to back away.
Yeah, Busio came up through River as well to try and see if they could get something here. But honestly, you should just go for Krugs now since second respawns are coming in for your camps for Inspired. Krugs definitely worth more than the first Scuttle Crab. First one's not actually worth that much EXP. And then just get right back down to business on bottom side of the map. So far, Yeon also stacking pretty decently here in the range plus melee matchup. Not too troublesome for the Smolder.
Yeah, looking pretty good. And honestly, when you're playing TK and Smolder, just kind of this late game scaling, and you're trying to play for the 5v5, they have held on very well so far. There's plenty of minions to farm up here. As long as they get all those, they're basically going to be dead even on the farm. And it's going to be really hard to actually punish them because they are playing exhaust and heal. Ooh, minus
we all saw that.
-1. It's my
unlucky.
bad. I said they're probably going to get them all. I apologize.
You caster cursed him, man. Immediately right out the gate here. But we will see APA go ahead and recall. All of those first recalls and the subsequent teleports are coming out. Back up in the top lane, the skill order for Bwipo, this is also something I want to point out with the Urgot. Going 2 points in corrosive charge early. I was watching the rank 1 Urgot in a Quanta.
We were just talking about this. It's so funny.
Yeah, I was watching his stream the other day, and he does this same thing a lot. Going the early 2 points in Q for extra lane power, extra trading potential, and then still making sure you max out your W by that level 9 to have the extended fighting capability. So Bwipo's done his homework on this champion. He knows what he needs to be doing to pilot this successfully. And of course, once these guys hit level 6, that's where it really gets interesting. That's where the true counter pick comes into play.
And look at the play here from Inspired. He just yoinks one of the grubs on the drive-by on top side. You can take it so quickly, and it has such big benefits, but then he still walked all the way back down here for Dragon for a contest. You've got Kaisa under tower, though.
Yeah,
Kaisa's not joining, then that's not a full commitment.
Yeah, Inspired
coming
seeing
now.
maybe he can turn it into a flip. Umti's got it low, down to about 750. Busio with the dredge line onto Yeon, but it ain't gonna matter. They've already claimed the Drake for the side of Team Liquid. Busio's about to drop it. It's first blood over to CoreJJ. 1-0 TL.
FlyQuest are so split there, and it was kind of concerning to look at because they clearly, with Inspired moving down, just take one grub, immediately get here for the Dragon contest. It felt like the call was going to be a full contest, but then with Massu under tower and Kaisa then coming from the other side of River, it is very easy, and especially in the early game, to turn on just one side of a pincer movement, and Team Liquid fully focused there. Not only the Dragon, but a bonus first blood. You do not want to give that to the fastest team there is.
And that felt like one of those situations where maybe Busio, nerves getting to him a little bit, you know, hooking in there while the team is split up, not really in a position to actually fight, tries to flash out, gives up the first blood. I think you're going to be thanking your lucky stars that went to Core instead of actually someone else. But
until the Tahm Kench comes out, big old beefy frog.
Excuse me, sir, he's a catfish. Well, up here in this top side, Impact does not seem to be having any difficulties whatsoever into this Urgot matchup that Bwipo dared him to play that Ksante into. APA now also level 6 on the Taliyah. Very curious how these Weaver's walls are going to be spent. But Inspired, so close to level 6 on the Vi. He needs one more camp to get it, hanging around the top side.
And Bramble proccing on the W is actually super annoying for Urgot. It's one of the reasons that people always are going towards Thornmail and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think it's been changed a little bit how it works, because back in the day, people were for a little bit when people would blind Urgot, they were playing Rammus into it, and the Borrow Curl would just kill him.
Uh-oh! Bottom side could be some trouble here for the Smolder. Yeon's trying to get away. Busio goes for the dredge line, but the flash from Yeon is well timed, so he loses the summoner, but he keeps his life.
Taliyah heading down here too. APA, you could see Yeon was trying to bait them in as far as he can if APA could get there, if they take a little bit more tower damage. Maybe you get like a trap kill, a little cheater one, or wow, you've got your Volibear on top side of the map, but no real big over chase, so no super big punishment on their side, and it's just a nice summoner spell blown. Now a Smolder with no flash. Let's see if FlyQuest can actually start to deny him and make it more difficult for him to get his stacks. They've rotated him over to the mid lane now since APA ended up on bottom side after the roam.
And this is generally, we see this rotation usually happen a little bit later. Usually it happens after one item when they have the Essence Reaver fully completed. Yeah. And it does have the Sheen. Usually on Essence Reaver, they move the Smolder mid and they start having him farm both the Raptors and the Wolves to really accelerate the stacks. TL has done this very, very well. And that's one of the reasons that Yeon has been one of those guys to get such fast paces here for the 225.
Yeah, and it's also just common sense. Whenever you do have someone who has to go base and you've got the roam down the other side, you just rotate a little bit over and you kind of do the jigsaw puzzle there and have him take the mid wave that is pushed in on his timing while APA finishes up the bottom one. So remaining efficient with your minion waves even under the circumstances of extra pressure.
I think one of the windows they're really going to have to watch out for, though, is when Busio hits 6, if Yeon still does not have flash, Core is going to have to kind of be glued to him, because if he shows up in that side lane and they don't have that Tahm Kench behind you and you got no flash, Nautilus ult sets it up so easily to get what is pretty much going to be a guaranteed kill.
Right, you've got Nautilus ult, you've got Vi ult, you've got Kaisa to fly in right behind them. It's so scary. Back up here on the top side, still everything just kind of going back and forth with the trading on the farm. Pretty even in terms of farm numbers across the board. Biggest difference being the mid lane, as Jensen does have a couple waves lead. But Umti is sitting on top of a ward on the blast cone. Massu and Busio are aware of the fact that Team Liquid's going to look for this. Umti, very scary on the Volibear. You just turn the turret off. The dives become very simple at that point. And here comes Mob. It's Yeon picking up the kill. FlyQuest knew this was coming, and they still lose Busio.
Yeah, another questionable call from FlyQuest. We had the earlier one between the first Scrubs and the Dragon and the fight resulting in a kill, and then this one with Team Liquid as well. When you see there's no teleport for Bwipo or for Jensen, you're not going to be able to turn around that tower dive. You mentioned it, Flowers. The most straightforward thing about Volibear, ult turns off towers, so those dives are easy. And very clearly, they made the call to stay under the tower.
Well, but Massu backed off. That's the thing that's more confusing to me, is that Busio, it seemed like, just kind of made that decision himself, because Massu is actually back in the pixel brush the middle of the lane. He wasn't going to stay there, so if he's not going to stay there, maybe Busio thought, I'm tanky enough that I can absorb the early damage, then you can come back and turn it around, but I think it was definitely a big overestimation.
That's the positioning you take if you had solo lane teleports that had pushed up waves that are like, all right, we're going to turn this around. You bait them under the tower, then Kaisa's going to fly in with ultimate and we're going to teleport, but they didn't have those timers.
Yeah. Right. Very, very unfortunate stuff for FlyQuest here early on. 2 deaths on that Nautilus for Busio. Still not even level 6, so does not have that go button we were talking about that will be important for locking down these high-value targets in Yeon and APA. Second Drake of the game is going to be spawning right about now. Remember that Team Liquid got the first one, and the first trio of grubs was split with Team Liquid barely getting the edge 2-1. So far, neutral game's going TL's way, and they have control over the bot side river for now.
How much weight do you guys put into the concept of the lower bracket advantage and just playing a recent series where you're coming in warmed up and hot? Because Team Liquid, they feel like they're picking up exactly where they left off yesterday, and FlyQuest a little bit slow.
I think there's definitely something to it. I guess it just depends on how much you get from the extra practice and preparation from not having to play, from being able to just kind of evaluate your opponents, look ahead. Whereas
secret
TL
strategies like an Urgot.
Exactly, right? Whereas, TL had to be super focused on C9. That series ended up being pretty one-sided, but they can't count on that. So I think there's a little bit of give and take to it. The fact that it wasn't like a 5-game battle and they're exhausted from it, I think helps as well.
All right, FlyQuest is starting up this second Drake. Team Liquid, 3 men waiting around in the brush, ready to challenge. A TP also summoned up. They're going to bring more reinforcements. APA is joined back up, and he'll immediately go back to the wave in mid. FlyQuest maintaining control over the Drake. 4 men strong. Got it down to about 500 HP. It'll be secured by Fly, but now they got to try to get away. Here comes the Weaver's Wall, and Busio is again the target. Impact has been brought into the fray now, and he goes in as Jensen tries to get away, but the damage just pours through, and Yeon kills him with the snot. It's a 4-0 game for TL.
I love this call because they commit Impact's teleport to get an extra kill. And even though an Urgot is going to get tower plates on top side, those tower plates, they're not even done. They get an extra flash. Those tower plates are answered by even more valuable ones taken by Yeon. You'd rather have them on your Smolder. So you invest that teleport, get a bunch of extra kills, get the dragon, and get the money focused where you want it.
Yeah, TL, I've got to be feeling so good about how this is going, and Busio's got to be a little bit careful. You know, it is 3 deaths out of the 4, all on him. 2 of them, I think, were super preventable. Maybe the dragon one you could argue a little bit, but he chose to hook in at the first dragon, died. He chose to stay under the tower, died again, and you have to make sure that this is not becoming a bit of a pattern because Nautilus is one of those champions where you start having a bad game, you can start having a really bad game, and confidence, I think, is so important for a young player like that who's in this finals.
I mean, let's be honest. Support is the lowest economy role, so you can end up becoming the punching bag for your opponents. But a support like Nautilus, you are meals on wheels if the team is behind, all right? You are making sure the enemy squad is eating good. So Busio is seriously going to have to focus up here, or he's going to end up giving more and more of this lead away to TL, who are up a little bit over 1,000 gold, just about as the turrets are ready to expire. Turret plates are ready to expire, excuse me. And we do have that Rift Herald getting ready to summon up here in the topside river as Umti takes control of the Scuttlecraft.
I always enjoy little things like that where Yeon is actually Eing along the wall and then uses the Q on the Gromp for the fleet proc to get the lane that much faster. Actually allowed him to get 1 minion that would have died to a tower shot. So it's tiny little optimizations, but I always think those are fun to see.
Yeah, especially though on the support conversation that you're having, Flowers. Like when you're a Nautilus and you're playing against the Tahm Kench, even more so, it becomes kind of useless because usually you're an ult bot still. No matter how underfed you are, you can get that off. But Tahm Kench can nullify your ult, and then if you hook in, you are the thinnest pinata that there has ever been. So we'll see how much candy is inside Busio.
Not a lot when you're 0-3. The gold becomes worth less and less.
Exactly.
It's the cheap store brand candy. It's like half expired from Valentine's
Man, you don't
Day.
even really want to eat it.
Yeah, you're kind of maybe. Maybe it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and get a snack.
You'll take it if it's free.
Yeah, exactly. You'll take it if it's free. So Busio's got to make sure he's not giving TL any more of these free angles. It's 2 minutes until the next Drake is alive. You can see up in the top lane, Impact has his Thorn Mail and his plated steel caps complete. It's not super fun to be Urgot in that situation.
No, the W kind of just hurts yourself at a certain point, but he does have a Black Cleaver completed over on the other side. Did get some plates.
Oh, Weaver's Wall coming in, and with Umti right there, Jensen's flash is forced. So now that Karma extra vulnerable, that's still going to be down with plenty of time to spare for this upcoming Drake fight, or if they decide to fight for the Herald soon either.
Yeah, FlyQuest are going to have to track Umti now. You have to keep vision on Volibear. If Volibear has flash and Karma does not, that is an easy kill. You flash in with your Q, your E comes down on top, that burst damage with the Taliyah combo is 100% dead.
And they're at least looking to threaten that. MT was kind of moving down towards bot side with ABA, so I think they want to try to make them nervous, see if they can get them back off. But Yeon has passed 125 stacks, and Massu and Busio have not seen Volibear since they saw him walk down towards bot, so they are backing off that. But the stacking really starts to accelerate as you get that splash damage
There it comes.
as well.
There's not even a flash required. They just immediately go for the wombo on Jensen. Inspire tries to turn it around, but there ain't no damage. APA escapes, and both top laners are ready to join the scrap. Inspired, gonna get juggled around here next. There goes another rock. There goes a double kill for APA. Busio tries to hook somebody in, but FlyQuest is already down 2 men. Team Liquid 6-0 in game number 1.
TL are locked in. They are so focused. As soon as they get that flash, they're thinking, we've got the repeat play. This Karma's already dead on my screen. All we need is Umti to come in. Umti didn't even have to flash to get that Q stun play we were talking about. He was able to just walk by because they had the control wards through River. They put in the earlier work. TL riding the momentum of yesterday.
Umti is gapping Inspired in game number 1. 1-0-5 on the Volibear versus a 0-1-0 on this Vi that has not been able to find any plays to make for FlyQuest. It's a 3,000 gold lead now. Herald in pocket for Umti for TL.
And man, when I'm looking at the scoreboard and then I press tab and I see that there's a Smolder on the other team, like that makes me feel terrible when you're this behind early and Jensen likely to die again.
Yep, Umti just jumps at him here with a Sky Sky Splitter. APA can set up the easy knockback with a seismic shove. Inspire tries to jump in and kill off the Taliyah, but it ain't gonna work. APA goes on a killing spree and Jensen drops. Yeon's picking up the next one. There goes Inspired. Here's your loot pinata from Busio. It's 3 dead for FlyQuest. Team Liquid is making this look so easy.
Seraph's shield into Tahm Kench ultimate shield. You thought you might have been kind of close? Not even close at all. TL here running away with this one. And the only surprising thing is I had my alt chat open.
Oh, they're going to look bot, though. APA trying to look for a play, but we'll see if Bwipo can sidestep.
Yep, Bwipo just stepping forward to avoid the knockback of the seismic shove and the stun onto the unraveled Earth. Impact and APA will not secure the kill on the Urgot there.
I was gonna say the only surprising thing is that we haven't had any all chat yet, and then APA's like, "I got you, bro. Don't worry." We are so far ahead right now. He's letting it fly, and I don't think there's gonna be any rebuttal from the side of FlyQuest right now.
I love how his name has become Yappa.
Yappa is actually
it's perfect. It's really good. It's really good, and he's just living up to it, man. He's ready to type at all times.
Yep.
Rift Herald summoned up in the mid lane. I don't believe the charge will do enough to kill the turret directly. It'll need a little bit more, but there's plenty of firepower here. There it is. Sky Splitter from Umti just doing the work to zone away the rest of FlyQuest. Bwipo and Inspired are going to try to make a move on Impact here on the bottom side, but Impact goes all out. He's looking to try to deal with Bwipo here. He wants to get away. Inspired chasing after. It's a full-on team fight. There comes your suppression. Bwipo's grabbing the first kill, but Umti's killed Inspired back in a trade. It'll be a 1-for-1 here at the start. Team Liquid still looking to see if they can find any more, and that potential seismic shove forces the flash out of Massu.
The only benefit here for FlyQuest is that since they're so far behind, they have objective bounties up, and Jensen did get the top side objective bounty on the tower, but your whole base is still getting destroyed here. TL are steamrolling through your territory. Look at the jungle lit up with wards now as well. They can get their reset up. Never mind. Umti's even looking aggressive again. There's no flash on Massu.
And when Smolder gets ahead, you just get even more ahead because you're buying all that early CDR. They're going to look for the fight.
They're just immediately looking to burst Busio instead, but now Umti's got to be careful because Bwipo's ready to chase him down. CoreJJ keeps him alive with Devour, and now the Abyssal dive to go after the isolated Urgot. Bwipo's going to be focused, going to be exploded, I would have to assume. One last hit from Yeon, and the man is gone. Team Liquid, 11-1.
CoreJJ makes it look so easy. He goes Tahm Kench ultimate into tongue lash hit into confirming the Abyssal Voyage. Actually, such a clean Tahm Kench here for TL. And when you've got that big of a lead with the safety of CoreJJ, Tahm Kench, the warm embrace, you know nobody's going down.
I mean, he has just been right place, right time. He has had so many good ults. On CD, it feels like this game, he finds someone who's getting picked, he saves them with the ulti. Umti has maintained 100% KP as well throughout this game. He has been everywhere. And Yeon is just scaling to infinity for free, working towards the rapid fire already at 20 minutes here. He's at 180 stacks. This game is looking so hard for FlyQuest. They're
I'm actually shocked that we're having this after the first series that we saw between these two teams in playoffs, but Team Liquid have completely hulked out.
Yeah, and it's not just the first series that these two teams had in playoffs. It's the last time we saw FlyQuest. They were putting together some of the most incredible team fighting that we've seen in the LCS in a long time. And in this game, they haven't even had a chance to really team fight because they've just been lost from the get-go. Ever since that first death back around the Drake, it just feels like Team Liquid knows exactly what they want to do at all times, what every man's role is, and FlyQuest is stumbling around in the dark.
I'm all aboard the lower bracket advantage now.
Okay, you're convinced?
I'm like, that is some real power up here for Team Liquid. And you already mentioned it multiple times. Oh, fancy that they have a Smolder in their back pocket as well. Not only do you have this massive gold lead, plus the extra dragon, but you even have the third dragon here.
Give it 2 minutes probably. He's stacked.
Yeah, he's 197 right now. So.
Already working on the rapid fire, so.
Yeah, and that's where when you have 3 items and you have the 225, I mean, he has his 3 items going to be online so early because of all this extra gold that he's gotten. Umti looking for Bwipo, but Busio and Inspired are playing behind him. Bwipo, one of the only people who's kind of at parity, at least, with their lane opponent, it feels like right now. You know, he does have those 2 items completed. He went towards, a bit of a tankier build here with that Steric second. If they can make something happen around him, maybe get an initial burst kill, be able to pull them in, find that big fear on multiple people with that ulti, maybe they can make something happen.
All right, fight starting out as Bwipo's the first target. The seismic shove right back into the unraveled earth, but now Busio's going for the dredge line. Bwipo barely getting away for now. They shoot out the harpoon, but they aren't going to find the fear beyond death just yet. Inspire charging into the back, looking for Yeon, but he ain't going to grab him. Yeon goes unstoppable, and now Bwipo's about to drop too. Impact is fearless in the front line as Busio and Massu head for the hills, but the Weaver's wall is ready to ride, and Busio is gone again. A double kill back to Impact. Team Liquid don't lose a single man.
What is happening? 14-1 for TL. They are stomping Fly.
And now CoreJJ forces out another flash. Jensen without that summoner spell. There's no way for him and Massu to try to challenge for this Baron. It's Team Liquid completely running the show start to finish in game number 1, 23 minutes in, and they're gonna claim a Baron.
So I was gonna be like, oh my god, their team fighting is so insane, because it was actually really clean how they used their resets there with CoreJJ eating Umti. Umti saved his Volibear ult to kite backwards over the Vi, but they're so far ahead also that it's just a massive sweep. So look at the cooldown usage here. They actually save Umti's ultimate and relying on CoreJJ so they can make use of this Tahm Kench big shield while Impact is on Jensen on the other side. And then when Inspired goes for the dive, Umti ults back defensively, they separate while Impact goes for the kill in here, and he's going to be able to dash back to the rest of the squad who already finished off Inspired too. It's just, if they were not as far ahead, I would be popping off way more about how clean it was, but even with that, it's like, Team Liquid, they are smashing them. Spawn's not even reacting.
Unfazed.
No.
He's unfazed. He's like, yeah, we should have won that team fight because we're so far ahead, but they also did it cleanly.
I mean, you just have to love, you know, his desire to always look for what they can improve for the next fight.
All right, now it's like getting kind of like mean. Usually when APA is trash talking, it's like sometimes they're even behind, right? And he just makes a good play. But when you are clobbering like this, you're like, okay.
Are you saying he's too good to be trash talking like that?
Yeah. You guys are stopping them a little hard right now to be back in all chat.
Yapped in America. Okay, that one's even better than Yappa.
Yapped in America.
I like the original.
The Team
but
Liquid Avengers, man. They are just clobbering them this game. Impact versus Bwipo. Impact hits the sides. He wants the fight. Bwipo trying to get away back over the wall there with a flash, but Team Liquid brought more firepower. Yeon is dominating. He's at that break point. 240 stacks. 5v4 for TL for the next 40 seconds.
Impact heard Bwipo talking trash before the series. He'll take the tank into your counter pick and he'll beat you anyway.
Umti coming in here. The engage from the Volibear is there again. Yeon is godlike. Team Liquid looking to end this one right now. Busio drops next. A triple kill for the Smolder. Tail is on his time. Song is on his ride. Look at that, man. Smolder just runs him down once he's got that break point. Now Team Liquid, with nobody to oppose them, goes straight for the Nexus turrets, straight for the Nexus right after. 19-1, 11,000 gold ahead. Team Liquid slaughters FlyQuest in game 1.
25.5-minute game with Smolder on your squad.
Get the stacks, the game ended. Checks out.
Get the stacks, game ended. Biggest takeaways, though, we need to go back in time and look at the beginning of this game, because there were a couple of choices that we mentioned in quick succession that came from FlyQuest that are very questionable and gave over a lot of early momentum to Team Liquid. And with this version of Team Liquid that is so hungry at playing early and always sets their sights on the next objective and the next play, you cannot make two big errors in the early game, because this is the clear result.
Absolutely stunning performance here from TL. Like you said earlier, Isaac, they are picking up exactly where they left off from yesterday. This team has just completely transformed in playoffs. They're so coordinated, they're so aggressive, and they're so fun to watch.
I mean, they've just been looking really strong. TL has completely leveled up from the regular season. They look like an absolutely different squad altogether. But we also have to talk about the FlyQuest side. Busio obviously had a couple shocking deaths early on. You know, he is a young guy in this big performance. He's got to be able to just reset the mental, shrug it off, say, all right, it's just one game. We had a bad one. Let's go back to it. Let's play better in game 2. Let's avoid those mistakes, because you can't allow this series to get away from you. TL are just looking too on point. They're going to punish you.
Yeah, I mean, the whole team does, honestly.
Yep.
Because a lot of the mistakes, especially in the early game, like the Dragon disconnect on the call for the team fight there, I mean, everybody's got to step back up.
Yeah, everybody on TL played really well, but honestly, my biggest props go to Umti. It just felt like he was everywhere.
I'm so proud. His first Volibear in playoffs was really terrible. I'm so proud of him. I actually,
This little bear is all grown up.
#1 Volibear fan NA over here. But we're going to head on back to the LCS Lounge.